guys, it's Angelo, and after a little break, we are back in business. Now, to wrap up the winner of last month's giveaway, or rather, just to update everyone on who won, we have Robert Mulvihill as a winner. Congratulations. Now, I've tried messaging you already, Robert, and once you, hopefully, watch this video, be sure to be in contact with me as soon as you possibly can. Now, for everyone who wasn't as lucky, don't worry, as there will be a lot more giveaways to come in the future. Now, with that being said, today's video will bring us back to the current Legion content and a bit further away from the Battle for Azeroth hype. There's a huge issue for Shadow Priests at the moment concerning Mythic Plus dungeons, and that is, well, that most Shadow Priests have a very hard time in finding a group that accepts them to run higher level keys. In fact, the problem is already at a point where a lot of Shadow Priests even have a problem with joining low-level keys, because the stigma of how bad they are in Mythic Plus, despite my predictions recently, actually remain, and Shadow Priests can easily be considered the lowest of the low when it comes to Mythic Plus. The losers in the lowest tier, as you may want to say. In today's video, I want to take an objective approach towards this topic, and I want to explain why Shadow Priests do in fact struggle in Mythic Plus, while also proving to you guys that the spec is able to compete with others, contrary to common belief. So, of course, without any further ado, let's go right ahead and have a look. First off, we need to understand what makes Shadow Priests so unpopular in Mythic Plus. I've covered this deeper in my Shadow Priest Mythic Plus guide, so if you want a thorough explanation, be sure to check out that video. The link should pop up on your top right screen section now. Essentially, Shadow Priests by design have a playstyle that goes against most favorable factors in Mythic Plus. A typically long ramp-up time, no burst cooldowns, and comparatively weak single target focus damage due to the lack of burst damage and cooldowns, paired with very low mobility, makes the Shadow Priest the first to be cut of any Mythic Plus team. Now, you all know how much I love the Shadow Priest, and I would like to think that I know the ins and outs of the spec, but even I have to admit that the faults of the class aren't completely uncalled for, and in fact it's true. Shadow Priests are probably, or rather possibly, the worst class to play in Mythic Plus from a competitive damage perspective. Our strengths, and ironically we have many of those, are literally not cut out for fast-paced, movement-heavy Mythic Plus content. Now, we are able to work around this with a few very specific factors. Fortunately, our talents can be shifted in a way to allow for quicker ramp-up time and easier ways to spread our damage in AoE situations. This, paired with certain legendaries, can actually make the Shadow Priests relatively viable in Mythic Plus. Specifically, when it comes to talents, we need to be playing with Misery instead of Mindbender, while for our legendaries, we absolutely must wear the Chest, the Heart of the Void, and Zephyr's Secret, the Ring. These two legendaries specifically, paired with Misery, can create more optimal conditions for us, while of course Misery allows us to quickly spread our dots onto multiple enemies, while the Chest allows for some burst damage, essentially eliminating ramp-up time during trash packs especially. Zephyr's Secret gives us a lot of passive haste, and allows us to gain a huge DPS increase when it is procced. Now, talking about this is one thing, of course, but let's look at it more closer in practice. On screen now, you see a regular Arcway 14 run, and as you can see, I am able to ramp up my damage almost immediately. And due to the legendary chest, I am actually able to do some burst damage onto the trash pack of spiders, which is pretty neat. Now, not only am I able to do formidable damage in an AoE scenario, I'm also able to do a lot of boss damage. Granted, ramping up the boss damage still takes a bit more time than it does in an AoE situation, but even without using Mindbender or the legendary belt, which would both be better choices for a boss, I'm able to deal very solid damage after about 30 seconds. I'm also able to proc my Zephyr's Secret with every ad spawn during the boss fight, which not only gives me more damage, but more importantly grants me a significant movement buff, which, should I need to move, proves itself to be incredibly helpful. as the faster I'm able to adjust my positioning, the faster I can focus on doing proper damage again. Now granted, I'm not able to outcompete all DPS specs in Mythic Plus. Windwalker monks, demon hunters, or skilled warlocks will most likely always be ahead, which can be traced back to the Shadow Priest's class design once more. The good news is though that this issue seems to be tackled in Battle for Azeroth with less ramp up time and more emphasis on direct damage rather than damage over time. But we still have months to go until then, so let's not jump the gun too soon here. Let's take a look at another example though. This time it's a lower key, purposely because I want to demonstrate that we are able to do a lot of damage even when enemies don't live very long, if done correctly. Again, the ramp up time with my legendary chest, so the Heart of the Void, Cephas Secret as a ring, and Misery Spect as a talent is low enough to actually deal damage to low health trash packs almost immediately. And the only one able to deal high damage, or rather high damage quicker than me in this case, is the Demon Hunter. Granted, the higher the overall gear of your group is in these low keys, the less likely you are to deal big damage, but still, I think you get the idea. Shadow Priests are able to compete in Mythic Plus under the right circumstances, so don't be fooled by popular opinion completely. What's most ironic about our situation though is the fact that we are at our best in Mythic Plus when we get to boost higher level keys for undergeared players. In this example, me and my friends are boosting some of our alts through mid-ranged keys, so anything from plus 10 to plus 15 really, depending on what we felt like doing. Here we have a plus 12 Darkheart Thicket, the Windwalker Monk and me deal the bulk of the damage, and here Shadow Priests are able to outcompete almost anyone due to having more time to ramp up some serious damage. Now this comes with a caveat though, as you definitely can only really do this when surrounded by good players or just people you know. This scenario will most likely not unfold in a random key with random players, as you don't know the tank's pulling style for example, or the healer's capabilities, and so on and so forth. Still, if you get the chance to boost people and believe you are capable enough to do so, you definitely should try your luck. Odds are that random groups won't prefer taking a Shadow Priest for this job, so try doing this with either a group of friends again, or just form your own group. Now I hope that I was able to shed a bit of light on why I believe that Shadow Priests aren't as bad in Mythic Plus as most people put them out to be. Sure, not everybody has been as lucky yet to have Cephas Secret and the legendary chest in their bag, especially so if the Shadow Priest is your alt, but for those of you who are or who were, you shouldn't have any worries of underperforming when playing the spec. Due to the way that Raider.io and your Mythic Plus score work, and due to the way that the Shadow Priest is designed, I highly doubt that the popular opinion on Shadow Priests will change overnight, but I hope that with this video, and with your own intuition and skill, you guys can be the deciding factor in changing people's opinions about us. As always, if this video was informative and helpful to you, be sure to give it a like, and if you want to stay updated on my content in the future, feel free to subscribe. If you want to stay closer, or rather in closer contact with me, be sure to join my Discord server with a link in the description below. Special thanks as always to all of my supporters over at Patreon, you guys help out a lot, and thank you everyone for watching. Have a good one my friends, and I will see you all in the next one.